What's happening, y'all? So, I, I have a question. Um, and I know I may get a lot of flack with this, but as a female, if a guy shows you a whole lot of interest, and I guess y'all exchange numbers, but he's not somebody that you are really interested in. Like, he's okay, but he's not somebody that you would have really cared either way about talking to or spending any kind of time with. But now that he's taken your number, he hasn't called the first day, he hasn't called the second day, and you feeling some type of way. Do you really feel like you have a right to feel some type of way if this person that you really weren't that interested in to begin with hasn't called you in 2 days, and now you're like wondering, when is he going to call? And somebody who is acting that interested, because he might have been like ecstatically, head over heels, acting like, oh my God, I really I'd like to see you. I'd like to spend some time with you. Just really going overboard. Someone that's acting like that, what kind of time frame do you give somebody like that? But again, understand, they were acting like that towards you. You were a bit ambivalent about how you felt about them. They, decent looking person, maybe not your type, not exactly ugly, not exactly completely gorgeous, decent looking person, but still not someone that you would have initially gone after or shown interest in. Do you feel like a week is too long to wait for somebody? And the time frame of when you met this person, say the weekend hasn't even hit yet, but it was maybe a day before the weekend hit and you exchange numbers, but you haven't heard anything from this person. What kind of a time frame do you feel is acceptable to give someone that you weren't really interested in before you start to catch feelings? Because for me, I feel like I'm going to give it a week. I have taken numbers from people and I haven't hit them back in like a week because of things happening with me and me just wanting to assure that I had time to really, and this is people that I wanted to make sure that I had time to spend to talk to them, where I was not busy, that it wasn't going to feel rushed. Because again, I feel like with some females, we put all these expectations on guys when it comes to certain things, and it's like, if a guy were to call you and only had maybe 10 minutes to talk to you on the phone, if that, but just wanted to reach out and say, hey, I just wanted to, hit you up and let you know, that I was thinking about you, just wanted to acknowledge the fact that I was thinking about you. But I will, I don't have time to talk right now, but I will hit you back up. I feel like a lot of the attitudes that women have nowadays is, he should have just waited to hit me back up when we had time to talk. You're putting expectations on somebody that you don't even know, like already straight out the gate. Why? And then on top of that, if this is somebody that you're not really that interested in, again, God, there's no rule book, and you can't always. I'm not going to take my lead from friends. I'm going to do things the way that I want to do things. I might ask for an opinion of a friend, but I do things the way that I want to do things. You know what I'm saying? And especially if I'm not really feeling the person all like that. Like, to me, it don't matter. If I ain't really taking you seriously and you end up hitting me up, then it's like, okay, hey, I'm going to give you some leeway. And yeah, I understand that guys are going to show you who they are in the very beginning, that however they start off, that's how they're going to be. But again, if this is somebody that you weren't thinking about seriously, you already got it in your mind that you ain't even trying to date this person. and spend any real time with them because of how you're already perceiving them to be, the kind of person that you perceive them to be. What difference does it matter to wait and give them a few extra days to see when they're going to hit you up? Because anything could have happened with that person between the time that you exchanged numbers and the days that followed, up to the point of you actually talking. And then what's so hard about if you have each other's numbers of you actually reaching out? Because I feel like a lot of women too have kind of gotten to the point where they don't want to pursue because they feel like it says something about them. But if you're interested, and if you're really interested, I don't see anything wrong with hitting the person up and say, hey, I just wanted to reach out, touch base with you. I don't know what's going on, but I just wanted to let you know that I was thinking about you, and whenever you get some time, maybe we can talk or schedule a time when we can meet up or whatever. And you don't even have to call the person. Maybe you could text them something. But I just don't understand some of the expectations and attitudes that we have, that we put on people because of certain behavior that they display. We are already thinking that because they acted this way, this is how they should follow through. Not really. Everybody is different, and what one person expects is not going to be the same for the next person. So if 2 or 3 days go by before this person hits you up, maybe they don't feel like that's anything. That could be normal timing for them before they reach back out. Maybe they forgot, or so many things are going on in that person's life that they wanted to just make sure that they had your number, so they had a way to contact you, because they probably knew that the chances of them seeing you again was going to be slim. But at least now they have your number, so they can get through whatever it is that they're going to get through, and they contact you and say, hey, like, I'm going to be free at this time. Would you like, to meet up? I don't know. But the thing is, I just feel like we have to stop putting so many expectations on people that we don't know, especially if it don't mean nothing. If we say that it don't mean nothing, why are we allowing our feelings to be so invested in somebody that we initially didn't even care about to begin with? Why does it bother us? And I feel like when that happens, when that kind of thing tends to happen, I feel like it's the ego that is saying that you were shown this kind of attention, so this is how you ought to be getting treated afterwards. Some of it could be ego, some of it, could be not. But just because a person initially shows a lot of interest in the beginning, that does not mean that they should follow through a certain kind of way. And especially if you haven't told them what your expectations were after exchanging numbers and saying, listen, I don't mind exchanging numbers with you, but for me, I kind of feel like, if I don't really hear from you, within this time frame, that it's not really like I tend to lose interest, and I may also start to feel like you weren't really interested to begin with. Because again, why do we have to do things at a certain time, or feel like because this is what we are used to or what we think somebody should do, that they should be doing what we expect them to do? Because again, it's an expectation. You give your number to somebody, and whether you're really interested in them or not, you have this expectation that, damn, they should be giving me a call soon, because I should be hearing from them soon, because I gave them my number, so I should be the only thing on their mind. Not even the only thing on their mind, but I should be at the forefront of their mind. How could they forget about calling me when they got my number and they were acting so, ecstatic over wanting to talk to me? I just think we have to give people a little bit of leeway. And for me, again, if I wasn't that interested in the person to begin with, I'm going to be like, fuck it. Like, I'm not even going to think twice about it. Like, okay, whatever. And if they hit me up and be like, oh, hey, I know what happened to you. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't get an attitude. because they didn't call me back, especially given the fact that I was not all that keen on a person to begin with. It really should. I'm not going to put that much energy into it. I'm not. I don't have time. And again, you don't know what other people have going on in their life. So I'm just curious, like, how y'all handle situations like that? Like, what kind of time frame do you feel a person should have? What would be an acceptable time frame that you feel you should hear back from somebody that you got their number? Because again, I remember giving my number to somebody, and this actually was an ex-boyfriend. He took my number. I'm sorry. He took my number. I'm sorry. I took his number. And we worked together. Okay. And it was a whole week. And when I finally ended up hitting him up, he was like, damn. He was like, I was getting ready to say, like, if I didn't hear anything from you after a week, I was going to have a real attitude, because I was wondering, like, why haven't you hit me back up after taking my number? And I told him, I said, because I have a lot going on, and seeing you, somebody that I don't know, is not a top priority for me. You know what I'm saying? So I figured I would get around to talking to you when I knew that I actually had the time to be able to invest in having a decent conversation with you, and possibly try to work out some time of, us seeing each other, if that's what you wanted to do. If not, then I would just, chuck it up as a loss if you didn't want to talk to me. So he was like, oh, okay, because I was starting to get a complex and feel like, damn, am I like ugly or something? But again, I feel like when we look at ourselves a certain kind of way, we feel like and again, I understand this two-sided thing when it comes to our worth and our value. We feel like we should be treated a certain kind of way. I understand that. But you also have to understand that when you're getting somebody's number or they're getting yours, they don't know you. You don't know them. And so expectations and all that stuff have not been made clear unless you state that stuff from the very beginning. So because you don't really know this person and they don't know you, I would like to have the grace of being given some leeway. And I also don't want to be called immediately if I give someone my number, because I don't want to feel pressured into making plans or doing things like right away. If I'm busy, I want to have that time to be able to think about it. And I know, especially for me right now, I got a lot of shit going on in my life. So somebody that I just got their number, I think that even if I did show a lot of enthusiasm over them in the beginning, because of all the stuff that I have going on, they're still not going to be at the forefront of my mind, or not going to be a top priority for me to call them. So it's just the way that we be thinking when it comes to stuff. Everything cannot be all about us when we are dealing with other people. Other people have lives the same way that we do. So I'm just curious, how would y'all handle a situation like that?